Relating to vaping continues to climb. We take a closer look at the newest dangers that are emerging. With multiple reports of sexual assault in Athens this school year, OU is trying something new. And in sports, 2 Ohio football players received recognition for their performances in this past Saturday's game. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Ben Schwartz. Thanks for joining us this evening. Tonight we start with a look at the growing vape epidemic that is becoming a concern and the center of many political conversations. There are new reports of counterfeit versions of marijuana vape products. Vapes can be filled with cannabis oil and are a popular option for those who don't want to smoke the traditional way. But some of the fake versions are being sold in unlicensed shops and include untested chemicals. Portland State University organic chemistry professor Robert Strongen says the variation of chemicals could be caused by many different things.
We just don't know. It could be the materials themselves, it could be degradation products that form during the heating and aerosolization process, and especially if there are pirate labs involved, you could have some really bad impurities.
There have also been reports of CBD vape being spiked with illegal drugs. Some store owners have been arrested, but so far no manufacturers of tainted CBD have been charged. And the death toll related to vapes keeps rising. A 7th person has died in the U.S. from lung disease related to vaping. Health officials in California confirmed the latest death, saying it was related to severe pulmonary injury. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Food and Drug Administration, and state health departments are investigating the outbreak. So far, an investigation into vaping illnesses in Ohio has confirmed 15 cases of severe lung conditions in the state. The patients ranged from 16 to 26 years old and were all hospitalized. The cases were in 9 counties, including Jefferson and Franklin. 22 more reports are still under investigation. The scope and severity of lung diseases cases linked to vaping is now spurring the Centers for Disease Control into action. The CDC activated their Emergency Operations Center, which will help them strengthen their response. In a news release, the CDC says they are making it a, quote, priority to find out what is causing this outbreak, end quote. Cities around the country are also taking actions to curb vaping. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, signed an executive order yesterday. The order asks for $20 million to start a public awareness campaign about vaping dangers. He also called on lawmakers to send him a bill banning flavored e-cigarettes next year. But New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is not waiting for lawmakers. He's directing state health officials to ban the sale of e-cigarettes on Sunday. He says the Public Health and Health Planning Council can issue emergency regulations that could go into effect as soon as 2 weeks.
It's a frightening public health phenomenon. It's an activity that many young people engage in. And common sense says if you don't know what you are smoking, don't smoke it.
Flavored e-cigarettes in Chicago, and President Trump proposed similar restrictions.
From the Newswatch Weather Center, I'm Matt Thickman. Well, after those clouds have burnt off into the afternoon hours, we have seen those temperatures drop as well. We saw a cold front move through the area, so we are dropping nicely into the lower 80s and upper 70s throughout much of the region. As you can see, we can see those temperatures continue to drop throughout the evening hours. We'll see some patchy fog start to develop as we head into the early morning hours, close to that early morning rush hour. So be careful out there if you are traveling and during the morning hours. Our almanac for today, we hit 81 degrees for today, so we're just slightly above normal, but not as oppressive as the upper 80s as we've been seeing this past week. Low this morning was around 63 degrees, so still above average. And we'll see those temperatures moderate quite nicely as we see the low temperatures start to drop behind that cold front. And that is beautiful conditions. Finally, we'll get to the rest of these lovely temperatures. Now that cold front has moved through, but we got to watch out when our next chance for rain is, because we got to watch out for some drought conditions.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I'm sure a lot of people are ready to get rid of that strong summer heat, Matt.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. As of the start of the school year, Ohio University students are now able to download a Bobcat Safe mobile phone app. The app, which aims to help prevent sexual assault, works in connection with the Athens and OU police departments, allowing users to engage in a text chat with OU PD, share their location with friends, contact survivor advocacy services, and more. Kimberly Castor is the director of OU's Survivor Advocacy Program. She says the school's main goal is to help those in need to find the resource that works best for them.
I think a lot of people get really freaked out by the increased reporting that we've seen in the past 2 years, but for me, I wouldn't say a point of pride, because a point of pride would be that my job didn't have to exist. But in a way, it shows that all the work that we're doing to try to create a culture where survivors can find the resource that works for them.
The app can be downloaded from the Apple App Store or Google Play and is readily available to all students. The man who was injured after climbing a telephone utility pole says he could be facing charges. Tyler Uher told WOUB that he was not charged yet. The Office of the Athens County Prosecuting Attorney Keller Blackburn says they have not made a decision yet one way or the other. Just a warning, this video may be disturbing to some people, but Uher is currently recovering in the hospital after this incredible fall. He says he broke 3 bones in his leg, broke his right hand, and suffered 4 fractured vertebrae in his spine. A couple is being charged after allegedly stealing secrets from a Columbus hospital. The grand jury indictment accuses the husband and wife of stealing cellular research and illegally transferring the information to China. Li Chen and Yu Zhou worked at Nationwide Children's Hospital Research Institute in Columbus. The indictment also says the couple set up a business in China. The maker of OxyContin now owes billions of dollars to communities across the country. How they are planning to pay up. Plus, this man's stunning survival instincts kicked in at 11,000 feet up a mountain. You don't want to miss it. Newswatch will be right back.
Charlie Pride wanted to become the next Jackie Robinson.
Playing in the Negro League, the guys heard my voice and they said, man, you make a lot of money singing. You sing pretty good.
Instead, he became the first black country music superstar.
He sang it so much better than so many of the good country artists at the time.
Look for Charlie Pride
The Jackie Robinson of country music.
on American Masters.
I was a highwayman.
They were the country music supergroup that drove us wild, the Highwaymen.
Let's go to Lichtenbach, Texas.
Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson.
Icons of American music.
Look for their story.
Well, I loved them all like brothers.
The Highwaymen, friends till the end.
For me, it was heaven.
On American Masters.
What's up? I'm Joseph Hennessy, and Gridiron Glory will be back on Friday at 11:30 p.m. Make sure to tune in to see how River Valley plays against Nelsonville York. Watch if Waterford can bounce back after their loss, if McLean can ride the momentum after their win, and if the MVL sees some separation from John Glenn and Philo. But remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory. You bring glory, and we report it. See you then.
I remember going hungry. And I remember seeing my mom cry because she couldn't feed her kids. And I tell myself, man, I don't want to live like this anymore.
This is a story of young people who have been left behind.
Hey, man, I can't do this. William, 3 feet, baby.
But it's also the story of America.
President Trump's former campaign managers on Capitol Hill today. Corey Lewandowski and 2 former Trump aides, Rick Dearborn and Rob Porter, are scheduled to appear before the House Judiciary Committee today. But the White House told the committee Monday that both the aides have immunity. Lewandowski has been ordered not to speak on events that happened once Trump was elected president. The 2 aides are not expected to appear before the committee. Purdue Pharma, the maker of OxyContin, is in bankruptcy court today. It's hoping declaring bankruptcy will help settle all the lawsuits it's facing in connection with the opioid epidemic. Nadia Romero has the latest.
The opioid crisis spans every corner of the country, catching the attention of the president.
We're also aggressively combating the opioid epidemic. Last year, we saw the first nationwide decline in drug overdose deaths and it was a very big decline.
More than 2,000 state, local, and Native American governments have filed lawsuits against Purdue Pharma, the manufacturer of OxyContin and other opioid companies. Purdue Pharma, which denies any wrongdoing, is now in bankruptcy court. It's planning to set aside $10 billion to address the crisis, releasing a statement saying the deal will provide billions of dollars in critical resources to communities across the country trying to cope with the opioid crisis. We will continue to work with state attorneys general and other plaintiff representatives to finalize and implement this agreement as quickly as possible. But some states like Pennsylvania and New York vow not to drop their lawsuits despite the bankruptcy proceedings.
You're not going to frighten us. You're not going to intimidate us. You're not going to outlawyer us. We're going to make sure that justice is done. And these drug companies are not going to get away with murder.
In Washington, I'm Nadia Romero.
In 2017, the states with the highest overdose death rates were West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, the District of Columbia, and Kentucky. According to the Centers for Disease Control, Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky also had some of the most significant increases in drug overdose death rates from 2016 to 2017. 3 border wall projects in California and Arizona have been canceled due to lack of funds, according to the Pentagon. The 20 miles of fencing were set to be paid for with a portion of the $2.5 billion allocated to construct the barrier. But now the Department of Defense has said there isn't enough money to fund the additional fencing. A climber credits quick thinking and a lot of luck that he survived a fall into a crevice on Washington's Mount Rainier. It happened in early August, but Graham Parrington and his team are just now talking about it. Keith Eldridge has the story.
I was pretty happy once I realized I was unhurt and not dead.
Graham Parrington snapped this shot of himself after realizing he wasn't going to plunge to his death.
So for me, it was just happy to be alive, and now I just need to execute the plan.
The plan was to safely get out of the crevasse dangling from a rope 30 feet down. Parrington was part of 2 3-person teams all tied together. They just summited Mount Rainier and headed back down to camp. They were at the 11,000-foot level at Ingram Flats. When you're falling, what's going through your mind?
I'm falling into crevasse and I can't stop myself.
Graham was chatting and in front of me, and all of a sudden, poof, disappeared into the glacier.
That's when their instincts and training kicked in.
I spun around, dropped to the glacier, and plunged my ice axe and my crampons into the glacier.
And I smashed through some layers of snow that was melting, and then the next thing you know it, I'm hanging in a crevasse.
Polis and teammate Reed Amon finally stopped the sliding, and while Polis kept his spot, Amon peeked over the edge. Parrington was okay and fashioned a pulley system to help himself inchworm his way to the surface.
Huge credit to my team for catching my fall.
And to have him back above and to know that we were able to in some way contribute to that happening safely was a great moment.
Keith Eldridge, Como News.
According to the National Parks Foundation, Mount Rainier is the most prominent peak in the Cascade Range at over 14,000 feet tall. The Alexander community is rallying around one high school cheerleader. That heartfelt story still ahead.
And some above average temperatures are in our area for the past week, and the chance of rain looks to come at the end of our weekend. That's all coming up next on Newswatch. But first, here's a look of stocks of local interest.
Charlie Pride wanted to become the next Jackie Robinson.
Playing in the Negro League, the guys heard my voice and they said, man, you make a lot of money singing. You sing pretty good.
Instead, he became the first black country music superstar.
He sang it so much better than so many of the good country artists at the time.
Here's an angel, good morning.
Look for Charlie Pride.
The Jackie Robinson of country music.
On American Masters.
Here's an angel, good morning.
What's up? I'm Joseph Hennessy, and Gridiron Glory will be back on Friday at 11:30 p.m. Make sure to tune in to see how River Valley plays against Nelsonville York. Watch if Waterford can bounce back after their loss, if McLean can ride the momentum after their win, and if the MVL sees some separation from John Glenn and Philo. But remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory. You bring glory, and we report it. See you then.
I remember going hungry. And I remember seeing my mom cry because she couldn't feed her kids. And I tell myself, man, I don't want to live like this anymore.
This is a story of young people who have been left behind.
Hey, man, I can't do this. William, 3 feet, baby.
But it's also the story of America.
I was a highwayman.
They were the country music supergroup
University
that drove us wild, the Highwaymen.
Let's go to Lipton, Texas with Waylon.
Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson.
Icons of American music.
Look for their story.
I loved them all like brothers.
The Highwaymen, friends till the end.
For me, it was heaven.
On American Masters.
From the Newswatch Weather Center, I'm Matt Thigpen. Today we had a high of 81 degrees, so we're falling behind those that cold front. We're falling into the lower 80s, and then we'll continue to do that as we head into the evening hours. What's keeping us so hot this last week is this big ridge, as you can see, out into the middle of the country. That's big old high pressure stationed right over Kansas, Missouri, middle portion of the country, and we are just on the backside. So we're getting some cooler air to move through. That cold front has moved out of our region. Current drought monitor, something I mentioned earlier today. The drought monitor, we're seeing some moderate risk over towards the Miami Valley into nearing the Columbus area. We'll just have to watch that because we're just below normal for September for this time of the year for our region, and we'll have to keep an eye on that as it gets updated. Tonight we'll see mostly clear skies. We'll have to watch out for patchy fog as we head towards the 4 a.m., 6 a.m. hour towards that rush hour bus stop forecast. But that'll continue. The dry conditions will continue throughout the day on Wednesday. Sadly, we won't see any rain for the next near future on the next 2 days. See that cold front out towards the middle of the country? That will stay out there and dissipate as it heads into our region. Tomorrow, again, less humid, warmer, and some sunny skies, 85 degrees, the northeast wind at 0 to 5 miles per hour. Taking a look at our hour by hour, by 8 p.m. we dropped to 76 degrees, so feeling quite mild out there still, but by midnight, clearing skies and beautiful conditions. Again, that patchy fog starts to develop as we head towards the morning rush hour. We'll fall down to about 60 degrees into the morning hours. The 7-day forecast looks like this. Again, tomorrow, sunny skies throughout the end of our work week. We see that continue as we see Parents' Weekend here in Athens, 86 degrees on Saturday, 86 on Sunday as well. Chance for rain mainly in the evening hours on Sunday, and then to Monday as our best chance for rain will fall behind a cold front, 82 degrees, and to start our work week, 81 on Tuesday. Beautiful sunny conditions and skies.
Thank you, Matt. Fall means back to school and, of course, high school football. But there are some times when football is more than just a game. The Alexander community is coming together to lift up a member of the cheerleading team through tough times. WOUB reporter Ethan Sands has more on this heartwarming story.
Cheerleaders are an integral part of football. Without them, the football team doesn't prepare and win the same. But when one goes down, the whole team and the whole community feels it. Rihanna Wallace has been diagnosed with a form of cancer, and I was here to talk to Coach McKinley and some of her girls about how they have been impacted.
She was diagnosed on August 15th of this year with Hodgkin's lymphoma. It really took your breath away. She's like one of my own, so it was very hard. And her mother and I are very close, and I also coach with her. She's actually our head coach, and we've been doing this together for, I think this is like our 8th year all together and coaching together with the school cheer. It's wonderful to be part of a small town. Everybody has came in with so much love and support, from everybody turning porch lights purple to reaching out to help out with what can we do to help, dinners, gas cards, you name it, anything we've needed to give to the family they've had, the support from it. We're also doing, Holly Robinson and I are putting on a 5K at the school on October 6th. That all the proceeds will go to the Wallace family to help with expenses. It's definitely a loss to us. I mean, she's a great little cheerleader, but we'll keep going and keep doing it for her and her mom. I love her. I love you. Keep fighting, and she'll kick cancer's butt. We know that. She is a very determined and courageous little girl.
Well, it's my senior year, and like I've cheered with her from 8th grade on, so it's definitely different. But I mean, it's just kind of like My senior year is dedicated to her. She's been my best friend since day one, and just having your best friend by your side is the best thing in the world. Everything I do and everything that the team does is for her. Just having people from other schools come to me and other communities around, and just the entire community coming together is insane.
Love you, Bree!
And now I'm joined by our WOUB sports reporter, Brian Kerb. Brian, such a heartfelt story.
Yeah, Ben, it's so great seeing the Alexander community going around her. And speaking of sports, we got a lot to cover today. 2 Ohio football players received recognition for their performance this past weekend. Also coming up, Ohio head coach Frank Solich talks about what the Bobcats need to improve upon heading into their game against Louisiana this weekend. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Charlie Pride wanted to become the next Jackie Robinson.
Playing in the Negro League, the guys heard my voice and they said, man, you make a lot of money singing. You sing pretty good.
Instead, he became the first black country music superstar.
He sang it so much better than so many of the good country artists at the time.
Here's an angel, good morning. Look for Charlie Pride.
The Jackie Robinson of country music.
On American Masters.
Here's an angel, good morning.
I was a highwayman.
They were the country music supergroup
Across the universe divide.
that drove us wild, the Highwaymen.
Let's go to Lukenbach, Texas with Waylon.
Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson.
Icons of American music.
Look for their story.
I loved them all like brothers.
The Highwaymen, friends till the end.
For me, it was heaven.
On American Masters.
I remember going hungry. And I remember seeing my mom cry because she couldn't feed her kids. And I tell myself, man, I don't want to live like this anymore.
This is a story of young people who have been left behind.
Hey, man, I can't do this. William, 3 feet, baby.
But it's also the story of America.
America's top critics are raving about the new film from Ken Burns, the most ambitious, culturally resonant music documentary ever made.
Country music is truth-telling.
A fascinating journey, illuminating and engrossing.
Country music comes from right in here.
Hugely entertaining, a joyful celebration.
It has something in it for everybody.
From director Ken Burns, country music. Binge all episodes now with Passport.
Welcome back, I'm Brian Kerb. Despite the Ohio football team losing to Marshall last Saturday, quarterback Nathan Rourke had an impressive game and earned himself MAC East Division Offensive Player of the Week honors. Rourke broke the Ohio touchdown record Saturday with a pass to Ryan Lorman in the third quarter for 6, the 83rd of Rourke's Ohio career. Rourke added another touchdown in the fourth quarter with a 72-yard scamper down the sideline for a touchdown. Rourke finished with 215 passing yards and 118 yards on the ground. Tight end Ryan Lorman was named the John Mackey Tight End of the Week honorable mention. Lorman tallied a career-high 4 receptions for 60 yards, another career high, on Saturday, and that included that touchdown catch from Nathan Rourke in the third quarter. Something the Bobcats will have to clean up against Louisiana this week is a defense. The Ragin' Cajuns scored 77 points in their win against last week.
For 2 games in a row now, we have not tackled particularly well. I don't think it's because of effort. It's certainly not because of toughness. It has to do with more getting in control, breaking down, getting clean hits on guys.
Now on to some Ohio volleyball. The Bobcats are coming off 3 victories this past weekend in the Bobcat Invitational. Tia Jimerson was a huge impact player for the Bobcats defensively. Jimerson was named the MAC East Division Player of the Week. In the 2 games she played in this past weekend, she had a block party. She had a combined 10 blocks. 7 of those came in the sweep against Virginia and another 3 against UConn. Jimerson was pretty good offensively as well. She totaled 16 kills, including 9 against Virginia on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a case that she pretty easily could have gotten Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week last week. I mean, she's gotten offensive multiple times before. I think what is impressive for Tia is just how hard she has worked on the defensive side. She's been able to hit the ball well since the day she got here, and she's been able to explode and hit the ball hard and do all those things.
The Cleveland Browns hit the road for a Monday night matchup with the New York Jets, looking for their first win on Monday night since 2008. Early in the first quarter, Baker Mayfield drops back and heaves one deep for Odell Beckham Jr. My goodness, what a catch. Fast forward to the third quarter now, Browns up 16-3, and Baker Mayfield connects with OBJ again, and there he goes. He takes it 89 yards to the house. The Browns win 23-3. Football may be back, but there is still baseball to be played in September. Both the Reds and Indians are in action tonight. The Indians are fighting for a playoff spot. They will host the Tigers at Progressive Field. Adam Plutko gets the start for the Tribe. The Reds are eliminated from playoff contention, but still have a chance to play spoiler. They face the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. Sonny Gray goes for win number 11 as he gets to start.
So, Brian, I'm sure those Reds players are looking to end the season on a good note.
Yeah, they may
right?
be eliminated from playoff contention, but hey, let's finish the season strong in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Brian. Coral reefs in Jamaica are making a comeback in a spectacular way. Jamaica lost 85% of its coral reefs in the 1980s and 1990s due to multiple natural and man-made disasters. This caused fish populations to decline and pushed families dependent on seafood closer to poverty. But due to groundbreaking interventions by many scientists, the fish and the coral are returning. Inelek Wilmot, a marine biologist, spoke on the unique way that she and many others are bringing the coral back.
We've taken corals from the wild and we break them into tiny pieces, and then each tiny piece grows into a new coral. So we're basically cloning them.
However, the effort of coral cloning has been slow to get off the ground. A combination of local fishermen refusing to abandon their local fishing areas and a surge in waste being dumped into the oceans has caused many coral nurseries to suffer. And now let's head back over to our forecaster, Matt, with a final look at weather.
Well, right now, our temperatures tonight, we're going to drop into the upper 50s, into the lower 60s across much of the region. We're going to see some patchy fog start to develop in the lower valley regions, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as you're heading out on your morning rush hour and at the bus stop. So slow down if you have any fog and use those low beam lights if you're driving anywhere. Taking a look at our 5-day forecast, tomorrow we'll hit a high of 85 degrees. We'll be dry and sunny through the rest of our work week. Into the weekend, we warm up once again, 86, and that humidity starts to increase as well. So those feels like temperatures will be near a 90 once again. So that relief is not here quite yet. First day of fall, we do see 82 degrees on our first chance of rain in a long time. So we'll have to keep an eye on that heading into our first next work week.
Thank you, Matt. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben Schwartz. You can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
What's up? My name is Joseph Hennessy. I am the host of the 21st season of Gridiron Glory. Make sure to tune in every Friday night on WOUB at 11:30 p.m. and make sure to keep up with all of our social media. Remember, there's nothing better